I am honored to have with us today Jeremy Corden, who is the president of GoldBack Incorporated. And GoldBack is a word you probably have heard on my channel and other channels, and maybe have seen them. Bullion dealers around the country and even around the world are distributing and selling the GoldBack. And so I wanted to get Mr. Corden on to talk a little bit about a couple of things. We're going to ask him some hard questions here, but before we get to those hard questions, we also want to find out a little bit about how this came to be. So, Jeremy, thank you for joining us here.
Appreciate being here. Goldbacks really started because we wanted to find a way to make gold and silver easier to use as money. My partner is Larry Hilton. He passed the Legal Tender Act in Utah forever and ever ago, and he assumed that once that happened, once the state kind of gave people permission, that people would start using gold and silver like crazy as money, and it never happened. And we've been trying to figure out why ever since, and the GoldBack, appears to be the answer. It's about 8 times more popular than crypto here in Utah. By the numbers, it's the most successful local currency of all time, perhaps, at least in the United States. We're seeing, just in the first few years, we have over 1 million users for GoldBacks, and about 3/4 of those users are between the ages of 20 and 40. So a lot of young folks, a lot of brand new stackers, a lot of people being introduced into precious metals. Oh, and by the way, out of that demographic, the 20 to 40 demographic, 3/4 of those people are brand new to precious metals. So it's really about growing the space.
We talk about how people have been mentioning, at least some critics of the dollar bill say we need to get rid of the dollar bill and go to coins. But people like dollar bills. They like cash in their hand. And one thing I found with the GoldBack is it is the exact same height. Was that purposeful that you chose that particular height for it? And I noticed that they are the portrait view rather than a landscape view as far as the artwork on those.
We didn't want the dumbest person to get a GoldBack confused with a dollar. They're really not the same thing. So this is the one GoldBack here. So it's 1,000th of an ounce. If you haven't seen one yet, you're probably living under a rock. This one here, I'm pulling them out of my wallet. This one's a 50. It's got 50 times the amount of gold. It's the same premium, so you can turn in 50 of the ones for one of the 50s. It's an interchangeable money system. So all the gold is contained therein.
That's great. And there's several denominations between those two. Can you name what those are?
Yep, we also got 25s. I spent my 10 yesterday. I got 5s.
Explain how it works.
Sure. So the one GoldBack, that's 1,000th of an ounce. This is created through a process called vacuum deposition. And really what you have is a 50-pound slate of gold. It's a target. It gets bombarded with plasma, and it creates like a plasma field, and that hits the polymer, and the gold gets sandwiched in. So this is done in such a way that's never been counterfeited, so people can have confidence when they spin and use these things. And every GoldBack is serialized, which is also pretty unique.
But you can't extract the gold out of them. Some critics say, well, how can I get the gold out of them if I really needed it or wanted it?
If you wanted to craft something out of gold, I'd recommend buying another form of gold. I mean, you could melt a GoldBack down and recover the gold, and you could take your car apart and melt down the alternator and recover the copper. That's not really why you have an alternator. There's more efficient ways if you're trying to get a larger amount of gold, but it's not going to have the same utility. It's not going to be as useful as the gold in a GoldBack. Where this is stamped, this is spendable. I can get something that's worth $4 with this GoldBack. It's not a mystery of, the purity or the weight or anything else that you might have in the little bead that you'd recover if you melted this down.
Well, and people will say, well, but how do I know it's real gold? A serial number and a vacuum process does not necessarily mean it's genuine.
If the GoldBack wasn't real gold, that would be probably close to a $1 billion lawsuit against the largest assay third independent assay company in the United States that tests and checks every single GoldBack being produced. As well as our manufacturer. GoldBacks are sold by most of the reputable dealers in the space now. So I don't think anybody is really questioning whether there's gold in it or not. Individuals can even recover the gold out of it. As far as people that are less sophisticated, maybe people that don't understand all those things, if you go to a garage sale with it, I've never had anybody challenge whether this was real gold or not, because you can see it, and it's really hard to kind of fake authentic looking gold.
Two other questions regarding the design elements. I think the artwork is absolutely beautiful, but I noticed that it does not have any artwork on the reverse. It has a negative image on the reverse.
It does have a negative image on the reverse. It'd be a lot more expensive if we had artwork on the reverse. I wanted to make the GoldBack as cheap as possible, was part of the goal, but also it's a negative image, and the negative image itself is a security feature. You imagine trying to counterfeit this, and you've got a negative image of the serial number that you can see through the GoldBack itself.
Right.
So, it keeps costs low, and it's an anti-counterfeiting feature as well.
Pretty amazing. I also noticed that it has different years. So these started, in 2019 in Utah, right?
Yeah, those ones are actually collectible. If you hop onto eBay, the 2019 Utahs, they sell for $20, $30, $40.
Wow.
So we're also starting to see kind of a collector market emerge for older GoldBacks that are less common.
Now, one other thing in terms of the manufacturing that some people have mentioned to me in the comments is that the 50 GoldBack is known to kind of peel away.
We've had maybe 0.2% of GoldBacks have that issue, and we warranty all of them. We're happy to take them back and give you a brand new one.
That's great. Some people seem to think that they should stack GoldBacks as opposed to spending them, especially in states where they may not have the GoldBack available. What are your thoughts about that? And let's talk a little bit about the exchange rate too, because to me, I think that's the fulcrum point of what makes the GoldBack work.
Okay. If you look at any of these videos about GoldBacks, I think a lot of people, especially folks in the older generation, they have a really hard time with the premium on a GoldBack. They say, well, sure, there's a GoldBack, and but the fact that it costs double spot, you're paying 100% over spot, makes it a terrible investment, and it's a cool idea, but it's far too expensive, and I could never pay that. Is that a criticism of the GoldBack that you've?
Yes, the premiums are insane. They say we should not be stacking GoldBacks, and you're just wasting your money because the premiums are out of this world.
I look at some of that and some of those comments, and they never say what a reasonable premium on a GoldBack would be. If you want to buy a 10th ounce gold coin, you're paying 30, 40, 50%. If you can split a tenth of an ounce into 100 more pieces, you'd think it'd be reasonable if it cost more than that. But I kind of stopped making that argument, because I used to say, well, look, if you take an ounce of gold and you split it into 1,000 pieces and you make them counterfeit proof and you serialize them, you're adding value to a material. And, it's the same with a car, or, what's the melt value of your phone? It's like but people still have a hard time with that. So I started describing it a little bit different to help people understand. What's the value of this?
Man, well, I tell you, it's $100, right?
It's $100, right? Okay. What's the premium on it?
Oh, wow. Probably $99.83 or somewhere.
Okay. But so it costs 8 cents to manufacture one of these. That's a manufacturing cost. That's not the melt value.
Right.
That's the manufacturing cost. So what's the melt value of a $100 bill?
That's a good question.
It's nothing.
It's nothing because it burns. It doesn't melt.
Well, it burns. Right. You can't even melt it. It's paper. I mean, the paper in it's probably worth less than a penny. But we use this, and we use this as $100. A lot of the people that have, let me back up here. So this guy, $100 bill is worth $100 because the market says it is. It's because that if somebody gives you $100, that you can pass it off and you can spend it and you can use it, right? It's like we're playing hot potato. We're all getting burned a little bit as we pass these things around, but we're playing musical chairs, and the music keeps playing. See what I'm saying?
Yes.
It's a utility value. I'd say 100% of the value of a $100 bill is the fact that you can use it and somebody else will take it as money. Period.
That's right.
That's it. So people that invest in precious metals, everybody, virtually every American, or even people overseas in other countries, they understand that dynamic of the $100 bill.
Right.
The premium, it's a ludicrous question. It's not even the right thing to talk about. Now, the GoldBack is a little bit different because, and I can argue all day that, it's a fair premium, we don't make that much money, and, on and on and on. But that's not what I'm going to do here. Half of this guy is the melt value, right? You're going to lose half your value if you melt this thing down into a pebble. The other half, it's a utility value.
Right.
And if you think about it, what half of the GoldBack is more valuable? Is it the utility of being able to use this like cash, or is it the fact that you can melt it down for gold? What do you think?
I would say it's the utility.
That's the more valuable half.
Yes.
Okay. Because here's what happens. If the utility value of this goes down, if the demand for the dollar goes down, if people look for alternatives to the US dollar, that demand has to go somewhere. In fact, this is where it got really interesting. And this happened during COVID. There's a few weeks there where people were getting really scared and they're snapping up and buying all the commodities. And we saw the same thing happen with GoldBack, right? Every GoldBack in all of the retail locations, they sold out. You couldn't buy a GoldBack anywhere. Walmart.com, they were selling GoldBacks for $16 a piece and they sold out. The only place you could buy GoldBacks was on eBay. And guess what a single GoldBack costed in 2020? $50.
Wow.
Now, the rest of gold didn't do that. But at no point does any stacker think, okay, today's the day. I'm going to break out my 1 ounce gold bars and I'm going to, buy toilet paper and coffee and, whatever your commodities are, whatever you need. Because gold bars, there's only two things you can do with them. You can sell them back for cash at some point in the future and hope that you made an appreciation and pay the IRS 28% or, whatever you owe them, or you can die with them. That's it.
Right.
That's the stacking plan is, okay, what's the spread? How do I, your exit strategy is always around cash. Or if yours isn't, your kid's exit strategy will be around cash. That is entirely different around GoldBacks. People are spending using these as money. We're finding that less than 1% of GoldBacks are ever sold back to a dealer because people are circulating and using these things as money. And because of that utility value, that premium, is actually what makes the GoldBack so valuable. It makes it valuable because it's useful as money. And, that value, in terms of, people that want to speculate on metals or think, hey, in a doomsday scenario, my ounce of gold could go to 3,500. And I say, well, that's great. What's 3,500 even going to be worth? If metals goes to 10,000, what's 10,000 even worth? Oh, and by the way, you still have to go to your metals dealer and you have to sell it back. People that are buying GoldBacks and using these as money, they're skipping the steps. They're skipping the turn it back into cash so you can use it step because it's a very usable form of gold. And what some folks are starting to figure out is they're looking at their stack of gold and they're saying, well, the reason why I stack is just in case the dollar falls apart, just in case North Korea sends a rocket into, our atmosphere and, wipes out our electrical grid or, whatever the case is. If musical chairs is over with the $100 bills, these folks, they want to have gold bars. They want to be ready. The problem with that strategy is you can't spend your gold bars because they don't have utility. Some folks want to say, well, shoot, if you're paying more than 1% premium on a gold product, you're getting ripped off, but then they use these as their money. These have the infinity premium, but there's utility there, and what we're saying is, well, shoot, wouldn't you rather use something that won't lose all of its value later and is useful and is money? We haven't been making that argument too loud simply because there aren't enough GoldBacks. We can only make a few $1 million worth of these things every month, but they've been out for a few years now. And in 2023, we'll have sold as many goldbacks as 2022, 2021, 2020, and 2019 combined.
Wow.
Last year, we sold the 3 previous years combined. We are growing exponentially because the demand for sound money, the demand for inflation-proof money, there doesn't seem to be a limit to the demand. And all this growth is happening. I probably spent under $100,000 on marketing in the last 5 years. People are just telling each other about it. And I'm starting to see stackers that, they've been doing this for a long time, and they, goldbacks, they kind of suck you in. They get one, they see it, and they think, oh, that's so cool. Huh. And we're seeing people from 2020, they're trading in their gold bars and they're trading in their gold coins, and they're saying, hey, look, the past 5 years, the price of goldbacks has doubled during a period where precious metals went up 70%. That utility demand in goldbacks is driving up the price of goldbacks faster than gold bullion is going up, and people are using these directly as cash. And not just in the goldback states, but all over the country. We're finding that about half of small business owners in any state are willing to take goldbacks as payment because they're gold.
I want to build upon that, but before we get there, I want to talk about the backbone of it is the exchange rate, because I think that is foundational to what this is about. Correct me if I'm wrong, but the exchange rate is essentially the market price that Goldback sets, and that most, not all, but most companies will honor that exchange rate, at least within reason. Is that my understanding? Is that they will honor that, which is obviously above spot price. So when you buy a Goldback from, and there are places you can buy them for utility where it is a much cheaper premium than you would buy from a bullion dealer to collect. Most of them will honor that exchange rate. Is that right?
So if you go to goldback.com, just right toward the top, there's a price there. There's also a calculator. And what that price is really designed to reflect is the average cost of a goldback across, a couple different online dealers. Because here's the thing, who sets the price of the goldback? Is it GoldBack Inc. or is it the market?
So you're using it based off of an average of what dealers are selling them for.
Absolutely. Well,
okay.
It's the same way that this gets a price. The market sets the price of the dollar. The market sets the price of a goldback. The market sets the price of any commodity or any currency or anything else. So really what we're trying to do is reflect that price. And if there's a shortage of goldbacks and the price of goldback goes to $6 a piece, that's the price you're going to see on goldback.com, because the goldback it's another form of money.
Are you finding that most of these companies that are participants in the GoldBack system are honoring that for the most part?
All of them. Yeah. So, I talked to business owners. Someone was installing an AC unit in my house a couple weeks ago, and I'd never talked to this guy before, didn't know him, but I got the impression that he was the business owner. It's a small business. And I said, hey, could I pay you for that unit with gold? He said, ha, ha, ha. No one's ever, asked me that before. And he thought about it and said, well, I suppose I would. And he says, well, I don't have like a machine or anything to tell if like a gold coin is real. Like he started thinking about it a little bit more. That's the other problem with gold coins, by the way. Not only do you not have a lot of $2,000 transactions, you have to have a Sigma machine to tell if the things are real or not. So I pulled these out and I said, well, have you heard of these? He says, oh, I've heard of those. Those are super cool. Yeah, I'd take those. So I counted out a bunch of 50s for him, and I got my AC installed. Now here's the thing. We use the price on goldback.com. And again, that's an average price. It's only fair to use an average price. So there's dealers that sell above that, but there's also dealers that sell below that, because again, it's an average. So if you buy from, say, Defy the Grid or alpinegold.com or Finest Known or a few of these other dealers, you can find them on goldback.com under the buyer's guide. You can buy a goldback for below that rate, and then every time you spend them, you're actually getting a discount. So I got a discount on my AC unit. Now that guy, AC guy that accepted the goldbacks, at least in Utah, there's 500 other advertised businesses that accept goldback payments. But he wasn't one of them, because again, it's about 50% of small business owners. So these things continue to circulate around, and people use them all at that exchange rate on goldback.com. So not only are you using sound money and not using Federal Reserve notes, which, maybe it's an alternative to central bank digital currency. So you can use these for private transactions and circulate them around. And, it's a revolutionary thing to do that.
And what you mentioned earlier about that other companies are using them outside of the official partnered companies in some of these states that don't even have goldbacks yet. That's kind of interesting and amazing to see. There's how many states do you have now? 5?
So South Dakota, it's coming out on September 19th. So that'll be our 5th state. 90% of goldbacks sell outside of the 5 goldback states.
But are they transacted?
Absolutely. I hear stories of goldbacks being used in transactions all over the world.
Wow.
We just don't build, we don't promote businesses outside of those states because, again, the goldback is a series of local currencies. It's valuable, though, not because of the name of the state printed on it. It's valuable because it's a very spendable, usable form of gold. The goldback, under federal law, I can't make a competing currency to the US dollar unless otherwise authorized by state law. And that's kind of where local currencies play in. So there's one law, it's called the Uniform Commercial Code.
Right.
And it's a law that's passed by all 50 states. Have you ever looked at like a gift card or a coupon and it said that it had a cash value of a penny?
Yes.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
So if you look at the fine print on a goldback, I'll read it to you. It says this goldback contains 1/200th troy ounce 24 karat gold, exchangeable by Goldback Inc. in U.S. gold coin to bearer on demand.
Okay.
So there are eagles and buffaloes that have a $50 face value. What I'm saying is if you have 1,000 goldbacks of any denomination, we'll give you a 1 ounce gold coin. Don't melt them down. We'll give you a coin. That's far more valuable than the gold nugget or whatever you're going to recover in your kiln. We'll give you a gold coin if you really want to get the gold out, if that's really what this is about for you. But the fact that those gold coins are minted by the U.S. government and that they're cash for $50, and that we've basically made a coupon for gold coins that's made out of gold. And in so doing, it ties into the Uniform Commercial Code and makes goldbacks legal to use in every state in the country.
Okay.
Under the same laws that allow Walmart gift cards to be legal in every state in the country.
So maybe you couldn't put United States of America on it, but could you just have a goldback without any state name on it? Just say the universal goldback or what have you for use, because you said they're even transacted around the whole world.
I probably could, and maybe if we go to a smaller denomination like a quarter goldback or something down the road, we'll do that for a low denomination one. I really like the state-by-state approach. It does a lot more in building up communities. I'll give you an example. So this is a New Hampshire goldback. We made it for the state of New Hampshire. And if you go to goldback.com, you'll see over 100 businesses that have opted to participate in this program in New Hampshire. As you can guess, a lot of libertarians are really into goldbacks.
Right.
Now, if you went to PorkFest a month ago, every single dealer, every single vendor was accepting and using and making payments in goldbacks. They made their own custom signs to take New Hampshire goldbacks. I was talking to one of the retailers. He said, yeah, it used to be cryptocurrency. I used to be taking all these Bitcoin payments in every PorkFest. This year, guess how many crypto payments I took? Zero.
Wow.
It was zero. It was all goldbacks. That was the currency of choice at PorkFest this year. Amazing. 10 years ago, it was Bitcoin. When Bitcoin was brand new, it was super popular at PorkFest. I think what you're seeing with goldbacks is that we're still really early days. Even if I legally could make a United States goldback, I don't want that much publicity yet because I can't make enough yet. I'm still limited to, $4 or $5 million worth of goldbacks a month, and we're selling them and we're moving all of them. But, we're being strategic. There's a reason why my next state is South Dakota, and not Texas. I can't handle that kind of growth yet. Now, a lot of people erroneously believe that if they live in Texas or California, they can't use goldbacks. And there's a lot of folks that believe that, especially in the stacking community, they say, hey, if it has more than a 1% premium, it's poison. You're basically stealing the rest of the value, and they don't want to hear that they can trade it for that value or anything else. That's actually been really good for GoldBack. If the GoldBack got too good of a reception early, it would have broke it, because I never would have been able to make that many. It takes years to develop machines that can make these things. So my growth, or the growth for GoldBack, has to really be incremental. And if there's detractors for it, it's actually really healthy. There was one YouTuber that was, he made a bunch of hit pieces on GoldBacks, and I considered writing him a thank you letter, because he had a video that hit right when I was running out of GoldBacks, and all my distributors were mad at me, and we'd kind of, we grew too much, and then prices started going up on GoldBacks because, again, supply and demand. And he did this hit video, and it kind of like cooled things down a little bit and let me catch up. Maybe that's kind of dumb to say, but I was really grateful for it.
And I do appreciate you answering the tough questions, and I'm throwing a lot out at you. Most of my viewers know that I'm a fan of it for the utility, not for stacking it. I'm a collector too. I would love to have one from each state.
All right, let me make an argument against you, or let me pitch this to you. If you knew that GoldBacks was the most spendable gold in your stack, that you could use these today or in the event of a crisis, what percentage of your gold do you want to be useful?
Oh man. Well, as a collector, I like some of the gold coins and bars, so I would probably,
Sure.
but yeah, I mean, if they were completely liquid, and that is a problem with the GoldBack. I think for even in Utah, you think about it, Utah is probably the most saturated state. Is that right? Since it's the first state, you're in Utah. This is where this all started.
Sure.
But my guess is probably a tenth of precious metal. Maybe that might even be a high of a number, but a tenth of precious metal stackers are even aware of it and would transact in it. Most people probably still prefer cash.
So I'll ask you this. Well, I mean, they prefer cash until it loses value.
Right.
Right now, a lot of people, in fact, most Americans, they're very leery of inflation. Why do you think gold was money to begin with? Like, why do you think people chose gold 3,000 years ago before coins were even a thing?
It doesn't react. It exists. It's mere existence, and its rarity, and its beauty, and the fact that it does not react chemically, it does not degrade.
Sure. So there's a lot of other things that could have been used as money, but people chose gold. And I look at people like my wife, woman, make 80% of economic choices. Did you know that?
I did not know that.
80% of all the spending happens by women. Now, 45% of
and
all.
We got to ask you a question. What is a woman? No, no, I'm just kidding.
Gosh. 45% of all the gold mined today, this year, is going to go into jewelry.
Ah, right.
People like wearing gold. They like to show it. They like to look at it.
It's beautiful.
It's really pretty. I think part of the reason why gold was money initially is you had to have this consensus, and you got this consensus across languages, across cultures and civilizations and time, where any group of people, they looked at gold and said, yeah, we would use that. And I think that, to your point, I think a big reason why isn't just because it has all the technical and the logical things, it's divisible and, rare. And I think a big part of it is that it's so pretty.
Right.
Now, I was thinking about this the other day, because GoldBacks, I told you that 3/4 of the people that own GoldBacks today are brand new to precious metal.
Right.
So like that guy that, or, a lot of these businesses I'm spending these at, these aren't even stackers. These aren't even libertarians. They're not gold owning Americans that choose to accept GoldBacks. I think it really comes down to the base fundamentals of gold, and I'll tell you what that is. So this GoldBack here, the one, it has 9 times the surface area of a 1-ounce gold coin.
Right.
Okay, all right? But it has 1/1000th the amount of gold. This means that the GoldBack shows off visibly 9,000 times as much gold as a 1-ounce gold coin does. Think about what that does emotionally for a regular person looking at it. That means that today, compared to 3,000 years ago, a GoldBack is 9,000 times shinier and showing off 9,000 times as much gold per amount of gold.
Well, look what happened with the gilding industry since the Middle Ages. State capitals have their domes gilded in gold. And it's the
People
same
want to see
argument.
gold.
Yeah,
They
people
want
want
to
to see
see it.
gold. Yeah,
Yeah, no,
that's
you're
right.
absolutely right. So, I think there's something to that. It really emotionally makes people, average people, want goldbacks when they see them. And that's an important quality to have in a money. It's like I've used Bitcoin. I used Bitcoin when it was early. I explained it to people. Oh, there's only a finite amount. It's kind of this logical explanation. I'm explaining how it might go up and, to get people to take my Bitcoin. All I have to do with goldbacks is show them to people and they want them. And it doesn't matter who it is. It doesn't matter what their ethnicity is or what their age is or their gender is. People tend to really want goldbacks and they're willing to give you something for them. And that makes it a powerful money. So I've developed a lot of confidence as I've seen and used goldbacks about how liquid they really are and how much utility there really is. And as we add more states and as we add more to the business networks, I think we prove that utility out for everybody else and we kind of show that it's there. But as we increase the utility in the goldback, I think you're just going to see greater and greater adoption. And hopefully it happens on a scale that we can handle.
And I think that's going to be the true test is expansion of utility. And I think that's probably, other than the premium argument that I get, is the utility. I'm with you. I think it's beautiful. If I was offered in payment, my only thing is will someone take them from me? I took a gold back into my local coin shop and said, hey, could I buy a silver coin with a couple of goldbacks, and he said, no, I don't want it. He looked at it as a gimmick, but again, I think a lot of it is not understanding until it actually infiltrates that market. There's nobody around me that uses them. So for me to use it as money, as utility, it would be pointless.
Well, I'll give you this challenge then, because we're in the summer right now and everyone's doing garage sales. I found that in Utah, I could spend goldbacks at 9 out of 10 garage sales.
Wow. Okay.
Take some goldbacks with you, whatever state you're in, wherever you're at.
Right.
And try to barter with them at a garage sale.
Okay. Yeah.
I think you'll have a very different experience. Go to any business where you can identify who the owner is, not the receptionist. Right. She can't make choices. Talk to your dentist, your chiropractor, and ask them if you take payment in gold. You will find that about half of small business owners will take this as payment, regardless of what state that you're in. And as far as coin dealers go, we were at Freedom Fest, and I was on a panel with several coin dealers, and these are big companies. They've been selling gold for 50 years. Right now, what's happening in the gold space is their market share it's dying off. Ed Moy came in as the director of the U.S. Mint. And they told him that their goal was only to lose 250,000 customers every year. Could you imagine? That's buying gold eagles. That's like the most popular staple product in the gold space. 250,000 customers a year. In Utah, we've lost half of our coin stores in the last 15 years. We have a generation that's aging out. These goldbacks here, it's introducing gold into an entirely new generation of people for the very first time. And it's doing it in a way where we're saying utility, gold is actually money, and here's proof. I'm going to pay it to you and give it to you as money. There's not this $2,000 entry point. I was on the panel with them. These guys are 35 years older than I am. 35 years older than me. But so are their customers. They left the conference. Every single gold dealer at that conference left wanting to get a distribution contract for selling goldbacks. I haven't been pushing any distributors to start selling goldbacks lately, because again, I got these supply constraints, but they can see it. Nobody wants to miss out on, the future of precious metals.
Well, speaking of future, we'll wrap up here. What is the future for the GoldBack now? What do you see happening? I know you're growing at a tremendous rate. We've been over the numbers on your sales for 2023 compared to all the other years. South Dakota is coming. But are you looking at expanding your manufacturing? What does it look like through 2025?
Okay, I'll give you through 2024. 2024, we've got another machine that can make these. We're going to be able to make goldbacks twice as fast. So you're gonna see Goldbacks a little bit more because we got to scale up our marketing to kind of match what we can produce. Where I believe next year we could probably produce over $100 million worth of Goldbacks, which will be more Goldbacks than all the Goldbacks sold up into that point.
Wow.
So I have every reason to believe that we can do it. We're going to be announcing more states after South Dakota. We might be speeding up a little bit as far as that goes. If you want to get involved, and I really hope that people realize this, that the Goldbacks is more of a grassroots movement. We're seeing people getting involved with leases. We're seeing them getting involved in accepting Goldbacks at their businesses. But really, what kind of money do you want? Because the money that we're going to use isn't going to be 1 ounce bars at a 1% premium. And, if this fails us, what would you rather have? Would you rather have a Goldback or a CBDC?
Right.
It's kind of weird how much pushback I feel like I get within the stacking community, but nobody's offering better ideas. If they have a better idea, I want to hear it. Or people say, oh, you're doing what silver should do, or we should use junk silver. They stopped making junk silver 60 years ago. And as far as silver goes, it's a grossly undervalued industrial metal. I think it could be as valuable as gold someday. And then you still have the same problem. It's not divisible enough. You're not going to be able to buy your toilet paper or your coffee with it.
You going to make any silverbacks?
We have made silverbacks. We have. I don't have it on me anymore though. But we did silverbacks. Ask
Silver Dragons, right? Yeah.
But that was for fun. I mean, they've got like 2 cents worth of silver in them. I mean,
right.
If silver prices actually do go that high, though, we'll probably do a silverback as well as
right.
a currency.
Very good. Well, thank you, Jeremy. This has been informative, and I hope it's answered some folks' questions that were critical. I wanted to ask as many questions as I could that the skeptics would ask. And feel free, and I'm hoping that Mr. Corden will come back to the video once it's posted. If there's any other comments, maybe you can answer some of those too, if there's something I didn't catch or whatever in this interview. But thank you so much. I'll post a link to the GoldBack website in the description below where you can read about it and you can see the exchange rate. You can see where to pick up Goldbacks.
Let me know. Yeah, goldback.com is a great resource. Let me know when you post the video, and maybe I'll hang out in the comment section and see if I can answer some questions.
Sounds good. All right. Thank you, sir. And I want to extend a multitude of gratitude to each and every one of you for taking the time to watch this video, and encourage you to please rate, share, comment, and subscribe.